Alright, more review requests, this keeps me busy. So Jeff, this one's for you. Oh yeah, Horror Hotel, a bona fide classic. But I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that there is no horror in the hotel whatsoever. So the film drops us into 1692, where an evil witch is about to be burnt at the stake. And then she gets burnt at the stake. I don't know why instead of dumbass burning people at the stake they don't simply just lock people away or at least hang them in those days, but hey ho. It's something that's never really occurred to me before now, but surely hanging is more efficient than burning people, because they can use that wood for fires in their home during the winter. Oh, and remember this guy named Jethro, because he keeps randomly popping up in the film as a hitchhiker. He's also evil, but hitchhiking seems to be the extent of his evilness, which makes him rubbish really, but never mind. Anyway, the main character is this lady here called Nan Barlow, who is studying history of the occult, and for her final paper she wants to go somewhere to research. So her professor tells her to go to a village named Whitewood to... Oh my god, it's Christopher Lee. What the hell is he doing in this film? How did they manage to get him on board for this? We will never know. And off Nan goes to Whitewood, much to the disapproval of her brother and her boyfriend. She gets settled in the hotel, but she gets bored and decides to go for a walk around town, while a whole bunch of different people just randomly stare at her and... What is this leading to? Is it going to go anywhere? So she goes into an antique shop and talks to the only person in the town who doesn't act creepy or seem evil. And Nan borrows a book from her on witchcraft history, and also having a chat with a half-mad blind priest who reminds me a bit of this guy from The She-Beast.
No, let her die!
The evil-looking hotel owner has a servant/maid who can't talk and doesn't like her trying to communicate with guests, presumably because the maid might tell somebody that the hotel owner is evil. That's just a guess. I love this scene. Everybody in the hotel is dancing and Nan decides to join them after a few seconds to change of clothes and... God damn. I know I've got a girlfriend, but damn. And then she goes out to find the hotel completely dead. No music and no one there. It's just so random. So Nan discovers a trap door in her room and follows it to find... Oh, she gets killed. Well, what was the point in that? We get used to her and start to root for her as the heroine of the film and she just gets killed just like that. I hate it when films do that. This is just stupid. Meanwhile, her brother Dick and her boyfriend Maitland, I think it's Maitland, are worried that Nan hasn't contacted them in 2 weeks, and so to summarise the rest of the film as quickly as I can, they go looking for her with the help of the antique shop lady. Her brother gets there, but the boyfriend sees a vision of a witch in his car, and he crashes into a tree, and he just climbs out of the burning car and passes out near it, as if it won't blow up. Which makes perfect sense, I'm sure you'll agree. Dick goes to see the... Dick goes to see the priest, but he ends up dead, and the antique lady gets kidnapped as part of the second sacrifice. Dick saves her, but not for long, as the evil cult get her back. Oh, but what's this? The badly wounded boyfriend comes in to save the day, despite getting knifed in the back, and later dying. And when the cult members get caught in the shadow of a cross, they randomly catch fire, because they're evil. The sacrifice doesn't take place, so Dick goes off to find the evil lady, but she's already dead, and it turns out that she was the witch burnt at the stake hundreds of years ago. Huh, fair enough. The end. If I could describe the highlights of this film, they would be creepy atmosphere, a plot that really drags on, lots of epic staring, and of course a knife in the back. So overall, it's not a bad film to be honest, it's just that if a film concerning witches isn't done properly, it can end up like The She-Beast. Ugh. But it's quite entertainingly creepy, has a few amusing bits of dialogue, and of course Christopher Lee's face. 5.5 out of 10. Film number 2 this week is The Last Man on Earth, starring the amazing and supreme actor that is Vincent Price. I've seen quite a few of his films, hell, I've even reviewed 2 of them, so feel free to check them out as well. And I openly admit that I haven't seen this film up until now. Now, I love Vincent Price, and I think he's absolutely awesome and a true legend of the golden age of cinema. So how does the film The Last Man on Earth stack up in my opinion? Well, let's find out. So Vincent is the last man on Earth, or so it seems, that hasn't been taken over by a vampire zombie-like plague. And the first half of the film show him following his daily routine of collecting supplies to survive and wandering around the house talking to himself, as well as going out and sweeping the city street by street, day by day, and killing the vampires like the awesome dude that he is. And he's been doing the same thing every day for the last 3 years. It's almost like we're watching his sanity slowly drain away day after day as he becomes a mindless zombie to his own routine, becoming no different to the plague-infected victims just outside his house every night. Trying to drink his blood, obviously. It really does build up the feeling of being alone, desperation, and just wanting to survive. But long periods of time pass where nothing happens, and I don't know why, but for some strange and demented reason, I just kept getting on distracted by thoughts of watching Power Rangers and crap like that. In fact, just to break up this review, let's get about 30 seconds of some Power Ranger action going to wake everybody up before we continue with the review.
Maybe old school, but it still gets the job done.
Right, back to this. As Vincent comes back to his house one evening, fighting his way through a crowd of baddies naturally, he sits down and starts to lose it. And then we see a flashback of how his life was and who his family were before the plague spread over the world. And then a flash forward to see the disease take hold of his family and his friends. What happens to the victims is that they get taken away and burnt in a huge pit to make sure the virus doesn't spread. Yeah, because that's what you need to stop a disease, to burn the corpses and let the plagued flesh rise into the air for people to breathe in, you morons. So Vincent's wife and daughter die. I'm not sure whether the explanation to how he's immune to this virus is relevant, but frankly I don't think it matters. Check this out, it's my favourite line of dialogue in the movie.
Morgan, we're going to kill you, Morgan. Morgan, you hear? Morgan.
He doesn't sound infected by a virus, he sounds like he's been down the local pub and is completely plastered. So Vincent goes shopping for a new car and spots a neighbourhood dog that runs away from him, but he runs after it. Because why not? If you've been on your own for 3 years, I suppose a dog would be welcome company. He sees some vampires that have been staked, but not by him, so he ponders who could have done this, and the dog returns to his house, but later. So Vincent has a temporary friend, but it later dies, and he has to bury the dog the next day. But while doing so, he spots some random lady walking in the daylight, which the bad guys can't do. So they have a chat and a coffee, and Vincent gets mega pissed off when he finds out that he's not alone and there are people out there and alive. The lady says that her people will rebuild society, but he's got other ideas since she's half vampire. He kinda looks hungrily at a steak, thinking whether or not to kill her, but he gives her a blood transfusion from his own blood, which cures her of the plague. But a vampire gets in and bites her. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a shitload of people appear on jeeps and kill all the vampires and chase Vincent from his house to a police station, but he kicks their asses because, you know, he's well cool. Vincent gets cornered in a church, he gets a spear lobbed at him, he denounces them all as freaks, finally proclaiming that he is the last true man, before falling over dead. The end. So the final word is, it's a really decent film and a must-watch for Vincent Price fans, and it deserves my score of 7 out of 10.